All right, welcome back to the If You Roll It, They Will Come podcast with me, your host Spartan Kratos. And on this episode today, I'm gonna be diving deep into my time working at Amazon. And so I just want to point out that I was working at a delivery station. Now, the places where you hear horror stories from, where people are peeing in bottles, working really shitty hours, can't really do anything because the boss is breathing down their necks, people want to kill themselves, like that type of situation. Even though I want to, we still want to kill ourselves too because we're working at Amazon, but whatever. That was at fulfillment centers. And per region, there's about one per region, and they're just ginormous. And then there's about like 5 or 6 delivery stations, maybe more per region. So if that just shows you how big one fulfillment center is compared to one delivery station, like that should give you just some sort of scale that we were just dealing with. Like my plant was only dealing with maybe 40 to 50,000 packages a day, which seems like a lot, but fucking the fulfillment center was maybe doing upwards of 1 million a day. So it just kind of shows you like how much each plant in every area has to do. But I digress. So I started working at Amazon over last summer because I needed money. So this was back in the summer of 2021. So this last summer right here, I just needed money really, really bad, and I decided to work at Amazon. So because that was just the simplest thing for me, because it wasn't going to require any real hiring process. I just had to pass a drug test, which I did, and that was it. There weren't any reviews or anything. It was just pass a drug test and then you can work for them, which is really saying a lot about what the people Amazon wants to hire. So anyway, I do that, and then my shifts are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 4 days in a row from 1:20 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. Good 10-hour shifts. It's beautiful, it's beautiful working that 11:20 that 1:20 to 11:50 every day. It's a great way to start your day and immediately want to die by 4. But yeah, so because of my job, I was sleeping really weird hours. On days where I would like having to be work the next day, so Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, I would end up sleeping at around 4, and more like 5 to 6, anywhere between 5 to 6. I wouldn't sleep too much on those days, which wasn't really probably the smartest idea, but I wanted to have a little bit more of free time during the day. But so anywhere between 5 and 6, I would go to bed, wake up around 12:30, get ready to work, and do all of that. Mondays, I basically just told my family, I'm like, I'm just gonna stay up as long as possible, and most of the time I lasted till around 8, and then around 8 p.m. I'd crash and just die and go to sleep, because then I'm really tired from working that day already, and then the next day I kind of get up early and get at them for my days off. That's just the view into my schedule. So you can see I'm working pretty long hours and all back to back for my shifts, and they're on the weekends because I wanted a little bit extra money. I think I was only getting $1 extra for the weekend, but hey, $1 extra goes a long, long way. A long, long way. Trust me. So at work, let's kind of get to there. So it wasn't that far from me, because I left my home at 1, got to work anywhere between 1:10 to 1:15. It was a 10-15 minute drive on the freeway from me. Nothing too bad. And I would drive pretty slow anyway. It wasn't like I was like speeding over there. I was taking my time, chilling, relaxing. Once I got to work, I would immediately take a few hits from my cart because to survive Amazon, I needed to be high. I would say probably the first maybe couple weeks there, I didn't really do anything because I was still learning the job. And then after a while, I kind of did, because those first 3 weeks, I also wasn't listening to any of my own music, which was a big, big mistake. Because we're told not to listen to music. So I was like, okay, I'll follow that rule, because like the first day I was there, I was like, yeah, the music's not terrible. The music they play is fine. Like I can get used to this. And then you keep hearing it, and it's like the same repeat over and over and over. I swear to God, I was hearing All Star by Smash Mouth every single day of work, and it was so annoying to deal with. And that wasn't even like the only one. There was a lot of other songs. There was a lot of Michael Jackson played. If you're a big Michael Jackson fan, you should work at Amazon. They play a lot of his music. It was just so bad. The music, they would always just play the same shit. It was it was torturous because it really just made you feel like a mindless drone. Because those shifts there are long. Like it's a 10-hour shift and you only do really two things. You're doing something for the first 7 hours and then something else for the next three. Like for the first seven, you're either putting packages into bags, getting them ready for to be picked up, standing in a single place, pushing boxes and bags into a hole, unloading boxes and bags from the trailer, and then putting them on a conveyor belt, scanning those boxes and bags, or inducting those boxes and bags that the unloaders are putting on and telling them where to go for the scanners and sorters to put away. And then there was another job where you could stand around and push things for 7 hours. There were two jobs where all you could be doing is just standing there and pushing shit for a couple hours. And those jobs are really that's when I had to have music, and that's what I started doing. I started wearing I was already wearing a hoodie because it was pretty cold in the warehouse, and you're also working at 1 a.m. and I'm not wearing sweatpants. I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing basketball shorts every day. So I started wearing a hoodie, and then I was like, okay, I'll just start putting the hood on now. That'll make sense, right? Yeah, it did. So I started putting the hood on, put AirPods in under that. We are chilling, boys. We are chilling, listening to music. We have our own shit, and we can just vibe. And that's what I would do. I just vibe. Because my first break would be around, I want to say 4. Was it 4? 1:30 to 4. Yeah, around 4, right around 4, we would have our first break. Or was it 3? No. Right around 4, we would have our first break, because then our next break would be at 5:30. There was a really short turnaround after that. Our next break was around 5:30. And then that was the 30-minute lunch break, so it's 5:30 to 6. And then our next break after that is whenever we finish doing getting all the packages unloaded from the trailers and getting them into the warehouse and sorted. Once we finish that and get ready for the next thing, then we have our next 20-minute break, and that one was normally at around 8 to 9, anywhere between those hours. So you're doing things on end for a while, and these are like physical. It's a lot of physical labor. Like they tell you that, but like I was averaging 30,000 steps a day at work. My peak was 40,000. My minimum was maybe 15 if I was doing one of those standing jobs, but it was averaging 30,000 steps a day. It was insanity how much I was walking. Really good way to keep me in shape though, which is one thing I did take out of it. I was like, hey, if I'm going to be doing this, I might as well. Like it is helping me at least a little bit. And yeah, like my days were pretty boring there. I only had one friend there. I'm gonna call him Gabe. I'm still friends with him in real life. Still keep up and text with him and stuff. But he was the only friend I made at Amazon, and like we would hang out, whenever he was there, because he was there on Sundays and Mondays, so we weren't there the same days. But the 2 days we were there together, we would normally hang out, have breaks in his car, and talk together. Because he actually helped me get out of the dreg position into kind of like the superstar worker position. Because he just talked to me one day. He was just chatting me up one day. And then he was told by one of the people for doing OTR, which is helping the drivers outside. So the second part of the day, you can either be moving carts outside to where the drivers are going to pick them up, or you can be helping the drivers outside and then just helping them put the packages onto their trucks. So I was starting to do OTR, the outside stuff, and then he was the one that helped me start that because he was told to get a friend. We had talked like a couple times that day, and then he decided to pick me. We still didn't even really know each other's names, and then we just kind of learned them real quick right there. And then, yeah, we just kind of became friends from there. Really, really funny. But he was a really chill dude. He made life there a lot easier because, like, he was well known around the warehouse also because and his dad was like one of the regional managers of the area, so like people were nice to him, and then when they saw us being really friendly, they in turn started being a little nicer to me and giving me better working jobs. Like I didn't have to do the 7-hour standing one position job anymore, even though I did like it because it was very menial work and I could just zone out the entire time. They started giving me some of the harder work that they put to the more trusted employees, which, double-edged sword. You can look at that as being a bad thing because I had to start actually like fully trying at work. Not fully trying, I just half-assed it. You just gotta appear like you're trying to them. Or you could have just continued to been the half-assed worker I was, which I no longer could be. But yeah, that was Gabe, and I'm just trying to think here. There's no real big stories from me working at Amazon besides the shitty sleep I got, the great pay I got. I will talk about, some of the fucking hard work weeks, because one of them was absolutely terrible. Prime Week, Amazon Prime Weeks in June, and this was about a month in for me. And Prime Week was 6 days on, so my schedule looked like this: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday work. 120s to 11:50s, 10-hour shifts each day. Thursday I had off, and then I went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So in the span of 11 days, I worked 110 hours. It was absolutely insanity. Oh, sorry. In the span of 12 days, I worked 100 or 110 hours. Sorry, but still, that's just insanity to think about how much I was working. Like they absolutely worked us to the bone. Like I know a lot of people who I knew. Like I didn't fully know them, but like I knew of. They were taking their vacations. They were using like off days they had saved up for this. Like me being new though, I didn't really have anything to save up. So and was saving up my off days to end up going to see my friends down in the Bay. So I had to kind of just work through it and work through the pain of just like going to sleep at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and waking up at 12. Like when it's dark out is a really weird experience and it will fuck you in the head. Like I only did this for summer, but it wasn't until recently that I think my sleep schedule is getting a little bit better. Because my sleep schedule was completely fucked for a little bit. Like I just kind of wouldn't really feel tired ever, and it was just like, yay, you're up, and now you're gonna stay up until you kind of need to go to sleep. It was weird. It was fucking weird. Like, oh god, it was just awkward how it fucking affected me. Now, I will say that there were some weird people at work at Amazon with me. There was this one guy who I'm just going to call Alex. Nothing, and I'm just going to say because he looks like an Alex. He kind of gives off Alex vibes. Now, if your name is Alex, there's nothing against you. Nothing against you. But this guy was just the most flamboyant guy I've ever seen. Like, me and Gabe were pretty sure he was gay. We were almost certain this man was a homosexual. And, like, we mean that because, like, the way he acted, right? Like he had pierced ears, he had a septum piercing, and then he also had really short blonde hair. Like when I say short, it was only the top combed over and like the sides of his head had nothing, right? Like really, really short. And then he was always vaping in front of everyone, trying to make that like very big. And the way he kind of talked and acted, like he just seemed gay. I'm sorry if that offends you. He just acted gay, and this man just seemed gay to me and Gabe, and we were just so sure that he was. But he wasn't actually, because as much as he pissed us off, and he pissed us off, like every time we were in Gabe's car, just talking between breaks, we were mainly ranting about him. There were a lot of days where he would just go off and rant to me about him, and then sometimes I would have to rant to him about him, because he just didn't say things that we liked. Like he made some weird comments about me and Gabe being like the same exact person. And then he also made some comments to Gabe before I really knew Alex. I didn't put him up in a great perception of mine. I know bias, but like then you know him and you're like, yeah, you still aren't great. I gave him a chance and it was not great. Because he also was in trouble and on probation at like work and shit because he apparently slapped a girl's ass, which is the only reason we know he's not gay, because he slapped a girl's ass. But there was a time where he was like on probation and shit for that, and that was like right when I was starting to do that type of work with them. So it was very, very interesting working with a guy like that who you absolutely hated. He was my my direct boss, no, but he was just like one of the supervisors there that was in charge of things. And me and Gabe just silently and unsilently cursed him out the entire time. But now that we're kind of nearing where the end of the day would be, I would like to talk about my end of the day shenanigans with Amazon. So if you weren't doing OTR and you were just doing the pick and stage stuff inside, you would normally get finished with that at around 11, or okay, sometimes it was 10 o'clock. Like sometimes we literally finished at 10 o'clock because we moved too fast and didn't have enough work. But I'm gonna say on around 11, like when we had actual work to do and like a decent amount of people there, you finished around 11, so you have 50 minutes to kill. And in those 50 minutes, we're supposed to clean the carts off because like we write on them with Expo markers, so clean them off and then restage the bags because the bags went out with the drivers. So we're refilling them up and just getting everything ready for tomorrow. And that's kind of like the last 50 minutes, really chill, laid back, kind of just get everything ready. This is where I would do my shenanigans, because at around 11:20, 11:30, mainly around 11:30, I wouldn't kill too much time. I would slowly make my way to the bathroom, and I would go into a stall and take a shit for 20 minutes. Yeah, I would just waste Amazon's time. I got to the point where I was like, I gotta take shits in the morning because I've been here for so long and just doing so much, moving, working, eating, like, I'm doing work here. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to be doing work. So because of that, it made things, I had to take shits. So I started taking them on company time because I was like, I'm getting fucking paid for this shit. I don't care. And that was the great thing about working in delivery stations is like I could go to the bathroom. Like in certain areas, you would just have to tell someone, and then they would normally cover for you for a few minutes, and then you can come back. Some areas, if you're just stowing, sorry, I just had the fucking just couldn't say a word there. But if you were stowing, you could just immediately go take a shit or a piss, whatever you needed to do, and just come back, and they wouldn't really say anything to you. If you needed to get water, there was water jugs set up. You could go grab water, and they would constantly tell you, hey, go grab water. That's just the last thing I want to kind of point out here is that even though I worked at Amazon, and like, yeah, I hated my time there. I hated the work there. I hated like the hours. It wasn't like a bad place to work. It wasn't terrible. Like the managers didn't make it too hard. They weren't expecting too much. They never really yelled at you. I hardly, if ever, did I see anyone get yelled at. They would always be saying, hey, drink water, do this. The only annoying thing about them is they were always trying to say, hey, we're a family, we're a community here. I'm like, no, we're not. Shut the fuck up about that bullshit. I do not want to be hearing that. Do not even want to be hearing that at Amazon. Shut the fuck up, bitch, please. And that's basically what I would say every time she would do that. I would just like put in my headphones again and just stop listening to the announcement. At that point, I'd be like, it's fucking done with. And yeah, that's really all I have for my time working at Amazon. Can't really think of anything else that really happened. Like there weren't big stories that happened, like kind of sadly, I guess. There weren't really anything that happened besides me just normally getting stoned and going into work and having a good time like that. Nothing too big, and that's really it. So that's gonna be the end of this episode of the If You Roll It They Will Come podcast. I will be catching you guys in the next one. Peace.